Adesso stiamo mixing. Good morning, friends. Today we are amending this space right here, which is where my potatoes were. I do have some A-frame holes that we are going to utilize. I'm thinking about doing another round of the little melons because mine got destroyed this year, and some other flowers, and then I want to put in some fall things, beets and stuff like that, carrots. So we're just going to see how much I can fit in this area. There are some other spaces that will eventually come to be open, and then I do see that I need to fertilize some things, so I'm going to do a whole garden fertilize with the garden tone from Espoma. But there are some spaces like the rest of this cabbage row I can plant. Onions are going to be coming out soon, so those rows of onions will have space to plant more fall things. But I want to amend this since it was potatoes before I plant something else in it. So we're just going to mix it up and then moisten the soil a little bit and put some seeds in. Good morning, friends. I actually made it out. Oh gosh, I have bugs in my coffee already. I actually made it out super early this morning. Well, not super early, but earlier. And I have a whole list of plants that I'd like to seed for fall. So I'm in zone 6, considered zone 6A, but I just say zone 6 because it's safer that way. That way I don't push the limits too much. I mean, I do, but not excessively. Anyways, we are in Northeast Ohio, zone 6. And so I still have 80 days left until our estimated first frost. So that means there are quite a few crops that I can put out that will be okay and still produce before the frost. So what you want to keep in mind when you do plant for the fall is that the days are getting shorter and the temperatures are getting cooler. So we're still here in August. The very first part of August. So like cucumbers, some of these say 55 days or something like that, or 60 days, which is still 20 days extra before my first frost would actually hit. So there is a really good chance that those will actually come to full production and be, fully growing before the frost will get them. And then you can actually cover them for that first frost pretty good if you have frost fabric. Kitty cat, no. If you have frost fabric, you can cover plants like that if they're still producing pretty heavily, and you want to protect them. There's row covers. There's a bunch of different things you can do. Sheets, just different stuff like that. So I have quite a list of things that I want to plant a second succession of. So I'm going to go ahead and I already amended this one bed that my potatoes were in. And then there's some different spots in the garden that I'm just going to fill in with some different seeds, just depending on size-wise. Like carrots, I can kind of tuck in pretty much anywhere. And I actually thought it would be really nice to tuck them in underneath this fabric where the cabbage is right now, because it just protects it. Carrots are really finicky to try to get them going from seed. So the list that I have are, I'm going to try Brussels sprouts. So there's some things that would prefer to have a longer season, but Brussels sprouts are frost hardy. So they'll be fine going into those first couple frosts once they, grow a little bit. Ideally, I could have started them inside in July and now transplant them out here in August. And I might try that next year, but I'm going to try them just from seed this year. and just see. I only want to do like maybe 2 plants or so, so it's not going to take up a whole bunch of room, and it's an experiment that I can kind of see how they do. And then beets, peas, radish, broccoli. I don't know if I can do a second thing of cauliflower. I don't know if I'm going to try because I have a bunch of cauliflower. So I put a question mark by that one. And then I have carrots, Swiss chard, spinach, cabbage, rutabaga, kale, kohlrabi, lettuce, and then the warm season things that the frost will kill is cucumber, squash, like zucchini, yellow squash. Those are all like 55 to 60 days as well. I'm going to try my small melons again. The Kajari melons say that it has a 70-day growth, so I'm going to try that again. I don't know how well they're going to do since the temperatures will start getting cooler in September. Sunflowers, zinnia, cosmos, and nasturtium, and I'm just going to do a second round of that stuff. You can do beans as well, pole beans, but I have taken in a lot of beans already, and mine are loaded again now. So I think I'm gonna skip the beans and maybe plant something else underneath those. That'll kind of just take over once those are kind of petered out. But anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to encourage you guys, if you do have a season that you can grow another succession of things, I highly recommend to do it, because even if you don't get the full growth out of the plant like you do in the summer, you're still going to get some harvest off of it. And so if you're, really enjoying like certain things that are really doing well in the garden, I really recommend to plant another succession if you can. So what you want to do is put your zip code in, and figure out what your estimated first frost is. So you just search first frost for your zip code, find the city that's closest to you, and go with that. It's usually a pretty good reading. I mean, you never know when the frost is going to come. Last year it was really, really late for us, but then we had a really hard winter, so it just depends. So yeah, figure that out, and then just figure out how many days you have left from today till that date, and see what you can plant. And then for the frost hardy things like beets and peas and things like that, it's okay if it overlaps when your first frost is going to come, because the frost won't kill those. The hard winter is when it's going to kill those, when it starts dropping down into like the 25, 20 teens degrees Fahrenheit for us. And that's when some of those things aren't going to make it. Like lettuce doesn't make it down to that temperature. Spinach actually overwintered one year for me, so just things like that. So yeah, just be mindful of what you can plant. But anyways, I'm going to figure out my space here, see what I'm going to put in this area, and then I'm going to tuck some things in some different areas. But I just want to bring you guys along and show you what I'm doing. All right, you may be asking if I'm going to water them in. No, I'm not, because it is actually going to rain today, which is kind of the ideal time to plant anything. So I did 6 rows of carrots in there, and then I will thin them out once they're up to an inch apart. I think they're the Danvers long or half long. Just an orange carrot. And then we're going to do this bed over here next. But I'm first going to figure out what all I want to plant in here. Alright, so in this space I thought it would be really easy to put a plant of zucchini on that side and another plant of squash on this side. And maybe if they're close enough to the chickens, then the bugs will leave them alone. So we're going to give it a go. Alright. And like I said, I did amend this with some biotone fertilizer to give it a boost after growing potatoes. So we're just going to put one of these in here. Alright, now we're going to give the chickens some snacks. Okay, next spot. Alright, Viviana is awake this morning. She came to join me. I'm going to try these melons again. I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but I'm going to do, I was going to do on the end of the side over here and then use these panels to help them climb, and then maybe plant like spinach or something underneath them. That'll get shade because my sun pattern goes that way to the west. So we're gonna give it a try. I had a bit of a struggle bus with my little melons. So the Kajari melons actually all didn't make it. So there's a space right here that I'm going to try the muncher cucumbers again and see if I can get a second flush of them and just keep them really clean. I did have a lot of issues with the little boring beetles this year. Not as much squash bugs, but like those boring beetles have been awful. So we're going to try them again, see if they work. I'm just going to cut it there for this morning. I got this whole bed done down here, full. So I did squash, beets, Swiss chard, zinnias, those little melons, and some spinach and nasturtium. Then I also planted some muncher cucumbers in the place of where the Kajari melons were. Just gonna see if I can get a second flush of those. I still have peas, lettuce, radishes, my brassicas. I'm gonna do some more carrots. Then I think I'm gonna do some cucumbers, the homemade pickle ones, in a big pot and see how those do. And then I also want to plant some more cosmos. So we're going to do that maybe later today and fill up some spaces in the garden, some different places. But I'm really glad I got this bed done. So I am going to go grab some water. The soil is pretty moist, but I want to water them because the sun's going to be out. It should rain around noon today. So I just want to make sure they're wet. But I hope that was helpful. I did do some little trellising for these melons. I am going to use another one for peas and for the little homemade pickle of cucumbers, so I'll show you guys that. Just some ideas in some pots. So alrighty, that is going to be all for this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.